Hello and welcome. Welcome to the Self Hypnosis How to Change Your Life Using Self Hypnosis webinar. My name is John Rice. I have the pleasure to be your host for this training. So, what an exciting topic to talk about! Full of potential, full of transformation. So, before we get going, just we'll get the house rules out of the way. So, the idea is that we spend some quality time together. So, to increase your viewing pleasure, can I invite you to turn off all the background noise, all the chatter, all the things that are just going on that distract us? And as wonderful as technology is a prime example. So you and I just spend some quality time together. And hopefully you can hear me. So, what you'll see is just below the screen here, there is a box that says your name and email address. What I invite you to do is you should only need to do this once, put your name in and then your email address, and then you can write a question, comment, and share your thoughts and your insights as we go along. So that I know you can hear me, say hi. Fabulous. Oh, look at that. Thanks. Thanks, Dave. Good stuff. Oh, I'm now getting a whirring computer screen on this side, so hopefully it should all come back in. Okay, excellent. Thanks ever so much for letting me know that you can hear me. A couple more coming through. Excellent. Hi. Hi, Lucy. Look at that. Fabulous. Thank you ever so much. Right. On with the webinar. So, what are we going to be covering in this self hypnosis webinar? Well, we're going to be covering self hypnosis. So, can you really hypnotize yourself? Is a question that we're going to pose. So that's one of the questions that we're going to be posing. Sorry for the delay here. I'm having some technical difficulties with the. Right, let's see if I give me a second. Let's see what we can do. Get the technical gremlins out of the way. All right. So hopefully that will start working. So if not, we may not be able to do the question and answer thing, but hopefully you can still hear me. And then just email me any questions and I'll answer those at the end. So sorry, we've got a bit of problem with the back end here. So which is not the best way of putting that. Okay. Right, onwards and upwards. So, 5 mistakes to avoid during your self hypnosis script. Recording your own script. We're going to cover all of that within this webinar. So, so you know you're in the right place. You're in the right place if you're interested in human potential. If you want to tap into your true potential and you're excited about the possibility of trance, and you're interested in self hypnosis, you are in the right place. So, mercifully brief introduction to myself. My name is John Rice. I'm an NLP master trainer. I'm a hypnotherapist trainer, and I travel the world doing this, and I love doing this. Hang on, let me just bring the screen up so that so that you can see me. There you go. Oh, yeah. There I am. So I just wanted to say hi. I'm going to be using PowerPoint, but it's always good to connect face to face. And self hypnosis has been a big part of my life. And I've been thinking about, maybe a short story to share about myself, how self hypnosis really affected and an impact on my life. And one story kept coming to mind, which probably on the surface it is not strictly self-hypnosis, but I think when you hear it, you can really understand why I'm telling the story. And there's two reasons: one, to illustrate the power of hypnosis, and also to sort of just to give a personal anecdote, if you like. Now, this month is my mum's birthday. Well, it was if she was alive. Now, she had cancer near the end of her life, and she had it for many years, and it did come and go. And one of the things, sorry, I'll get there. So it did come and go, and it got to the point where the doctors basically said to her, "Where would you like to die? Would you like to stay in a hospice or go home?" Now, they didn't say it that bluntly, but that's ex pretty much what they said. And she said that she would like to go home. And they were amazing, can't fault them in any way, the hospice. They really did look after her, got her home, got her settled. And they indicated to me that she would be really about 6, possibly 10 days. That's how close we were. But it was close enough to my youngest daughter's first Christmas, and my mum really wanted to see her granddaughter's first Christmas. So, and I'm not sure how she did it, but she stayed alive until, sorry, her first birthday. But then it was close enough to Christmas, so she stayed alive about a month waiting to see her granddaughter's first birthday. And then it was close enough to Christmas that she then went, "I'd like to see the grandchildren before I move on." And she stayed alive another month. And between Christmas and the New Year, she must have gone to herself, "I've achieved those goals and peacefully moved on." Now, isn't that powerful? That if the unconscious mind decides there's a goal big enough, it will keep you alive. Now, think about all the different ways that we could utilize that in our everyday lives. The power of that kind of belief, that self belief, that self hypnotic induction that my mum did to stay alive. Now, not strictly self hypnosis, I know, but it was just a nod to my mum because it's her birthday this month. So, and the other thing I'd like to say while I got the camera focusing on me is that now I am running a hypnotherapy accredited training coming up, and this is all part of marketing that. Doing this and thinking about the self hypnosis, I didn't want to do a sales pitch. So if you're interested in taking the training and really making a difference to other people's lives, just email me. Email me at john@nlpcourses.com, and then we can talk about that and arrange a phone call. Make sure that it's right for you. So on with the webinar. Let me just switch back over. There you go. So that's a short introduction to myself. And with a couple of people saying they can't hear or see anything yet. So hopefully it is broadcasting out. Well, we'll just have to trust the technology. So, how do you know if you'll benefit from self hypnosis? Well, if you're looking for some sort of change in your life and you want to change the way you think and get maybe different results in different areas of your life, maybe there's an area of your life that's frustrating you. Maybe you're looking for more from life and you want to take control back of your life. So if you answered yes to any of those, I think you'd benefit from self hypnosis. Now, it's nothing strange. What we're talking about is a natural phenomena. You know, when you're daydreaming, maybe you've got into your, and this is a classic example, you've got into your car, you arrived at the destination, and you don't remember the journey. You've gone into a form of trance. So there's trances everywhere. So it's very natural and it's easy to access. So we're taking this natural phenomena and taking it to the next level to help us really take control of our lives. So, what can hypnosis help with? Well, in our previous webinar on hypnotherapy, we looked at all these different areas, and this is just a small area that hypnosis can work on. But you can see how flexible hypnosis is. And pretty much most of this you can access for yourself. So, lots of scope for practice. And one of the key phrases there I've used is practice. It's a skill you can hone. So we're going to take this natural phenomena and look at some tips for honing the skill of self hypnosis. So, what is hypnosis? Let's have a definition. It's a heightened state of suggestibility. So, we're putting ourselves in a relaxed state to open up our minds to be able to accept suggestions. Now, can your unconscious mind reject suggestions? Yes, if it seems to be implausible at that moment in your life. But there's ways around that, and we're going to have a look at some of those techniques. So, I promise you 5 mistakes to avoid. And one of those, when you're doing self hypnosis, is expecting to feel hypnotized. What you will feel is relaxed, not necessarily hypnotized. And if you go and see a hypnotherapy, and I'm sure some of you have, and if you have, just type in you've gone to see someone. I'd love to hear about your experiences, and I can share some of those a little bit later in the webinar. Is hypnosis is so natural. It just seems like a very relaxed state. So let's have a look at a scale. Now, if you was on the last webinar, we looked at this scale from a hypnotherapy point of view. So we're going to look at this scale from a self-hypnosis point of view. So this has been adapted from Leslie Dacron's work from 1964. And Leslie actually used 6. We've just reduced it down a little bit. So for your hypnos hyp, hypnotic buffs out there, it is 6. I know it is 6. And but the thing is, there's many different scales. There's more scales than you can throw a stick at in hypnosis. So we just happen to be using this one. So a light stage 1 is a light trance. And from a self hypnosis point of view, this is where you start to move into possibly the first time you do a kind of an official self hypnosis. You'll reach this light trance, and you can do things like you can do eyes won't open, so you're trying to open your eyes, but they won't open. It's kind of like a very relaxed state, and this is a good state to enter into at the beginning, and you can do various little hypnotic suggestions at this point, and we'll cover that within the script when we get there. Now, when you move to the next stage in your self hypnosis, catalepsy is where you can have your hand just start to raise all up on its own, or your hands come together. So you're getting some sort of phenomena. But it's a deeper stage where your suggestions are starting to take. And as you get skilled at self hypnosis, you'll move into sort of deepen in trance. Now, anything beyond this from a self hypnosis stage, you tend to fall asleep. By stage 4, you're at such a very sleepy stage. It takes a lot of practice to stay at this state. And then, if you want to get to that comatose state where you're oblivious to the world around you, and you're probably going to need some hypnotherapist. So, don't expect to feel hypnotized, just expect to feel relaxed. Mistake 2, ineffective hypnotic suggestions. All right, so let's have a look at how can we build suggestions for our self-hypnosis sessions. So there's a couple of guidelines to keep in mind. Positive. Ask for what you want to happen instead of what you don't want to happen. So let's do a quick thought experiment here. So whatever you do, do not think about, I know some of you have done this, do not think about A blue effing upper pink tree. That's a blue effing upper pink tree. Do not think about it. So, what are you thinking about it? Yes, you are thinking about it. Even if you think you didn't, you did. You just replaced the image really, really fast. So, how can I say that with such conviction? Because words are secondary to how we think. We think in images. Every time you use language, you're triggering an image in your mind and in somebody else's mind. And as we're doing self hypnosis, so instead of I don't want to be tired, which creates an image of you being tired, positive would be I want to be energized. I am energized. And if you find yourself making a mistake, you can correct yourself. It's okay. You're in charge. Keep it simple. I am energized is a simple statement. Don't make it complex. Whittle it down into the bare bones. And you'll see as we come up to one of the further mistakes of how we use language, how important that is. So keep your suggestions simple and in present tense. There's a theory that says your unconscious mind does not process the past or the future, it's now. It has a way of sorting out what's the difference between past and future, but it acts as though everything is now. So hence you heard myself correct myself. So I am energized. Not I will be energized. I am energized. And that's why I mentioned self-correcting. So keep it positive, keep it simple, keep it present tense. Specific. Make sure it's not kind of wishy-washy, ambiguous. Takes a bit of skill to use the ambiguous language. So self-hypnosis, we want to make it precise. So if we keep these guidelines in mind when we're designing suggestions, positive, simple, present tense, and specific, not the ocean, specific, then we can't go too far wrong. So let's have a look at a suggestion. Now, does this fit our criteria? I will lose some belly fat because I don't want to be overweight anymore. Correct. It's not positive, it's not simple, it's not present tense, and it's not specific. Now, for anybody who's watching this, if you would like me to check a suggestion that you've designed yourself and make sure that it's positive, it's simple, present tense, and specific, send it over to me. Just email it over to me at john@nlpcourses.com and I will give you some feedback on your suggestions. And if I can help you improve them so you get a better impact, great. I'm happy to do that. So let's check these ones. I wake up and go for a 30-minute run. Is it positive? Yes. Is it present tense? Yes. Is it simple? Is it specific? Yes. Now, I weigh a healthy 12.5 stones. Is it positive? Yes. Is it is it simple? Yes. Is it present tense? Yes. And is it specific? Yes, it is. Now, remember I said you might get a little bit of resistance from your unconscious mind, and that tends to be in a feeling of, well, that's not true because I weigh 14 stones. Well, then you go, I lose 1 pound a day until I'm at a healthy weight. So we can play with those. Now, here's something that is often missed. But great hypnotherapists use this all the time. Great teachers use this all the time because it's a hypnotic technique. And that is using repetition. So if you don't use repetition with your suggestions when you're designing it, then what you're going to struggle with is getting the suggestions embedded. So then the question in a session, let's say you're doing a 20-minute session or even a 30-minute session. A 20-minute would be a good time frame. How many repetitions of a suggestion should you use? Well, as a guide, I suggest at least 15 times per session. Now, your conscious mind is going, oh no, that's going to be boring. But your unconscious mind doesn't mind. Repetition, repetition, repetition. So if you're embedding the skill of self hypnosis, then I will use repetition. I use repetition. I use repetition. I use repetition. I must take the will out there. But you will use repetition. It's a great technique for using your self hypnosis. So, mistake 4. Now, this is what I alluded to a little bit earlier. Your unconscious mind mixes up words, it changes meanings of words. So, whenever you use a word, your brain runs all possible scenarios of what it could possibly mean. So if somebody says, bear with me, your brain is going, bear with me, bear as in big grizzly brown bear as in naked, or bear with me as to wait. Your brain will actually run all of those scenarios. So hence keeping your suggestions simple. Right. Okay. So let me give you another example of what I mean by your unconscious mind tends to mix up words and play with words. And that's often why your unconscious mind processes multiple meanings from different messages that's going on around you. Okay. So let's say you've got this suggestion. I go to the gym 4 times a week. And that's, you're going to say that you're 15 times in your session. Okay. Then just don't worry too much about this, but just to keep this in mind, there's a lot of ambiguity going on within this, and though it fits our criteria for a good suggestion. So, what do I mean by that? Well, let's have explore this. I go to the gym 4 times a week. One of the first things the unconscious mind tends to do is get rid of little words like I, to, the, a, and will reduce the meaning down to gym 4 times week. Now, some of you might have even heard the ambiguity there. So then there's this ambiguity going on as gym 4 time week. And your brain is processing that, trying to come up with a context, but yet it's still processing that gym, as in somebody called Jim, 4 times week, as which is not really what you want if you go into the gym. And it will actually play with the order and sequence. So it may go week gym 4 times. And this is all happening in the background processing 4 week gym time. So if we can keep our suggestions simple and maybe just consider, don't get too hung up on this, but just consider the ambiguities of language, then we might use exercise 4 times. So keep it in mind. Don't let this one hang you up too much because you can go around analyzing language. Just because I like to analyze language doesn't mean you have to. Right. Mistake number 5, not having a script. And this, people think, well, I'm doing self hypnosis. And they kind of get relaxed. They put on some nice music and then they drift off to sleep. Now, there's some preparation that takes place when you're designing a script for self. Now, the first time you do some self hypnosis, it's all going to be about the relaxation and learning to go into these light to medium sort of level deepening trances. And by taking the time to run through a progressive relaxation for a little while, you can bypass that and get into trance a lot quicker. But it takes a bit of practice. And then designing the suggestions. How are you going to come out? So we've got you covered here. You'll see down, if you're looking at your screen, down to the left-hand side, there's some resources for you. So I've got your script to get started. That's how good I am to you. Now, before we get into it, we want to set our intention. So I've given you some language that helps you set your intention. So I am beginning my self hypnosis session now. Now, it may seem obvious, it may not seem like you have to say that. And I'm going to suggest that you record this, and we'll talk about how you record this. But it is a suggestion, a command to your unconscious mind that you're transitioning from one thing to self hypnosis. You're going to give yourself a suggestion that when you say wake up, you'll be alert and fresh. So you're going to kind of pre program all this in before we get there. And I will become more and more relaxed and focused within myself. So that again is a suggestion designed to help you stay on track and not necessarily fall asleep. It doesn't matter if you fall asleep. So, but if you can, we want to stay sort of alert. And most people find when they're in a trance is that their environment becomes very keen. And what I mean by that is that all their senses light up. So we want to keep that focus within myself. Also, any suggestions I give myself will be successfully accepted. Again, you're telling yourself. And language is a self-fulfilling prophecy a lot of the time. And you're restating that you want to succeed. Now, if you've downloaded the script, and I'd like to give a shout out to Stephen Engwell for this. He proofread it and sort of made sure that everything was flowing. So it's not just my effort, it's Steve's effort as well. You'll see there's a progressive relaxation process throughout. Now, the progressive relaxation starts from your head, the top of your head, and just basically goes down through your body, relaxing your body. What I would say to you that some people maybe like to have a visual image that goes with that. And even though we haven't put one in, you may want to visualize a warm light, maybe a golden light flowing along through your into your muscles and into your body to help relax you. So use the script as a template. It's not set in stone. It's to get you going. Then this is where you're going to insert your suggestions. Now, we've said we want to use repetition. Repetition. I hear that repetition is good for self-hypnosis. And if I don't mention to you several times that repetition is good for self-hypnosis, please do remind me to mention that repetition is good for self-hypnosis. So this is where we're going to insert them. So we want 15. And so ideally, probably no more than 3 suggestions, because that's going to give us 45 times of suggestion those. Yes, keep it focused because we're going to keep it simple and you're quite likely to succeed. Next, we're going to look at a refined way of coming out because you could just say, oh, I'm awake. And that's great. Or you could go, I'm going to count from 1 to 10 and wake up 1/10 of the way until I get to 10 and you count yourself out. And that's a great way. And then we're going to incorporate that. We're just going to add in a little bit of finesse, which we'll see in the script. So once we've done the suggestions, we are going to reaffirm the suggestions. So all of these suggestions I have given myself will be effective because they are relevant and suitable for me. They are realistic achievement commands that I can follow with ease. And you may want to say the suggestions again at this point. So each time, and this is now what we call in the trade a post-hypnotic suggestion. So a suggestion that will happen later once we're out of trance, which is that we become better at self-hypnosis. So within the trance itself, we're creating this momentum forward that the more I practice self-hypnosis, the better I become at it. And I will grow in confidence. and be able to go to deeper, deeper relaxation with every session. Then we're going to start our count. Now, counting is good because counting implies if we count in from some 10 down to 1, there's a sensation of going down. So 10, 9, 8. So when we're coming up, it's like walking up some stairs, if that's an image that you like to have. But you say, now as I count to 10, I'm going to slowly and gradually, pleasantly wake up, return to my normal waking state, accepting all my suggestions. Have you noticed that there's some repetition within this script? Let me just mention that repetition is good for hypnosis, just in case I forget to mention it. And then we count ourselves up. And if we're going to count ourselves up, we're going to start to become a little bit more animated. So we might start with 1, becoming more alert, 2, 3, 4, feeling good. Why not give yourself suggestions of feeling good? 5, 6, getting ready to wake up. 7, feeling refreshed. 8, 9, and 10, wake up. Now, did you notice that the word wake up was at the beginning of the script and also at the end of the script? So wonderful. So you have some resources there. So if you haven't done, you can download the script. So you'll see that if you look at the screen to the left-hand side, you'll see the download for the script, and there's some music there as well. So there's no words to the music. It's just music that is copyright free. You want to use it for your self-hypnosis sessions, feel free to use it. If you don't, that's fine, because you can read a script, record a script without any music, but it's there as a gift for you. And I know sometimes there might be some people on an iPad or an iPhone and can't always download it there and then. Just email me. Email me at john@nlpcourses.com and I will send you that. And you'll see 3 resources there. One is the prospectus for the courses that I mentioned at the beginning. So that's there for you. So any questions about any of that, you'll have to email me after the webinar. As I mentioned earlier, we've had a bit of a technical glitch with where we take our questions. So sorry about that. Okay, so I mentioned recording your self-hypnosis script would be useful. And if you are going to do that, and there's no need to, you could do it all in your head. It takes a bit of practice. And the first couple of times you might fall asleep, but you can still get the benefits. Let's say if you recorded it and you fell asleep, you're still going to get all the benefits of all the suggestions being embedded at an unconscious level. So how would I suggest that you record it? Keep it simple. Now, most people have a smartphone and it comes with audio recording on it already. So these are just some of the easy ones to use. So on the iPhone, what is now built into the newer update is voice memo. Now, only records, as far as I know, it only records 1 track, so you could only probably do your voice. So if you wanted the music, maybe you put the music playing through some speakers in the background as you record it. That would be a really simple way of just sorting that out. Now, the multi, and I know that looks like a spelling mistake, but I believe that's how it's spelt. And there's an app called the Multi-Track Song Recorder. This is great. It's aimed at musicians, and yet it's very, very simple to use. And you, like it says, you could use multi-recording. So you record the voice, and then you could drop the music in on another track underneath it. That might sound a bit technical, but that's all very easy to do. Very simple app. Now, if you're on Android, and I'm using Android to capture everything else, so Record Forge, that's meant to be quite good. And then the Corgi, I think that's how you say that. That's a great little app as well. So it's very simple. Now, if you want to get a little bit more technical, Apple, if you've got a Mac of any sort, GarageBand is simplicity itself to use. It'll take you less than a few minutes to work out. You record on the track, and then you can drop the music in. You just drag and drop the music into it. Now, PC, now Audacity, and I think it's audacity.org, works on Macs as well as PC. It's an open source recording software. It is just absolutely fabulous. And if you're going to think about maybe later on getting into this commercially and making recordings that you want to sell relaxation, both Audacity and GarageBand are excellent tools for that. Now, if you've got any questions on any of those, just email me after the webinar and I'll answer those as soon as I can. So at this point, I was hoping to do a question and answer session, but let's just quickly recap what we've covered. We've gone through 5 mistakes and what to do about them in self-hypnosis. We've looked at that it's a natural phenomena that we're taking advantage of. It's a way to tap into the true potential that we have in us as human beings. So, like I said, at this point, I would normally do a question and answer session, but we can't do that. So, if you've got any questions about recording, email them to me. If you've got any questions about designing your suggestions, or you would like to write a couple of suggestions and have me check them for you and see whether we can improve them in some way, make them sparkle even more, then email me at john@nlpcourses.com. If you've got any questions or concerns about using hypnosis on yourself, maybe with somebody else, maybe you've got questions about the script and how you've got some questions about how you could tailor the script to your own use, please do email me. So, wanted to keep it short. My goal was to keep it under 50 minutes, which would easily have done with the questions. But so I allowed myself about 10 minutes for questions and answer time. But we've got technical problems, as I said, so I can't take them live on air, so which is unfortunate because I find one of the most wonderful aspects of doing a webinar is the interaction that we can facilitate as we go along. So hopefully we'll sort out the technical stuff for the next webinar we do. So until then, have a wonderful evening and take the chance to really light up your potential. Like I said, if you've got any questions about hypnotherapy, whether it's exploring it as a profession and you're interested in hypnotherapy course, let me know. About designing these for yourself, recording, I don't mind. You might think it's too simple or too obvious. Ask me. I'm happy to help. Okay, until next time, have a wonderful evening and I'll see you soon. Thank you ever so much.